Hello and welcome back to Star Citizen. My name is Evenlease, and today on 10 minutes, definitely more and not less ship review. Right behind me, the Robert Space Industries Perseus. Let's go ahead and take a look. All right, welcome back to another review. Today, one of the most anticipated ships of the year, if not the most anticipated ship, the RSI Perseus. Thank you to Zero Grav, Archangel, Cypher1, Morn, Seraph Omega, and our Patreon supporter, Vidoji, for picking this ship, obviously, to take part in the review, and it's just so awesome we have to do it anyways. What124 as well, and everybody else that assisted with like the combat portion, and of course, it's just an amazing ship. There were so many people involved, and you guys are all truly amazing. Now, the initial cost on this ship, now that it's released, is War Bond $700 or store credit $800. Now, the ship does have a 38-minute claim time, and then if you were to expedite it, it is 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Definitely not terrible for the size of ship that it is. Now, it's not as big as a Polaris, and it's not as big as an Idris, which, honestly, I love the size of this ship because it does everything you need to for a combat patrol vessel, a heavy gunship. It does have a lot of firepower. It has a lot of space. You can carry a bit of cargo. Honestly, this thing is just fantastic, and I haven't even gone through the stats with you. Technically, it has a 0 pilot damage per second if you have it fully manned. But if you don't, the pilot does have control over the very top back turret, which is a dual turret with the Mantis GT220 ballistic Gatling gun. Overall, there's 20 size 5 Reaper 5 torpedoes the pilot has control over, unless the terminal is manned, and then you have that turret. So there's a bit of damage output the pilot could do, technically, if you leave certain seats and stations unoccupied. Now, you do have 27,720 overall turret burst damage per second, and that's due to the ship having 8 size 3 Mantis GT220 ballistic Gatling guns and 4 size 8 Medusa ballistic cannons. That's 5,667 burst damage per second per barrel on those massive guns. But I want to break these guns down for you just a little bit. They have 900 shots overall in each turret, and they have a fire speed of 800 meters a second. So while you're sitting here going, wow, that thing outputs a lot of damage, this ship isn't going to be going out there to focus on things like arrows and gladiuses, right? Because the round and the round speed and the round distance is really technically for bigger ships like a Paladin or a Corsair or a Constellation or even a Hammerhead. And if you have a couple of these things, you can definitely chase down and destroy a Polaris. Now, attacking an Idris, that might not go too well because the Idris main guns are very brutal, especially against something like this, which is a bit slower moving. Now, this ship does have 6 PDC spots currently occupied by the M2C Swarm laser repeater PDCs, but you can swap those out for other PDCs out there in the verse. Now, you also have 2 size 3 military grade C shield generators, which are the Sure Stop shield generators at 104,400 overall quadrant shield. That's a pretty decent amount of shield for a heavy gunship. It is not a capital ship by any means. It's not big enough to be a capital ship, and that's pretty much it, right? It might have the guns that you'd expect on a capital size ship, but it's definitely not. Now, you also have 389,204 ship HP for now until, next month when we see engineering and the way that these ships get damaged is changed dramatically. But for right now and until then, it's got quite a bit of HP. And when you look at the breakdown, it's kind of all over the place, as any RSI ship is, because you have a lot of engine nacelles, you have a lot of parts, you have a lot of doors, you got a lot of these areas that take a lot of that HP away. So technically, you only comfortably have like almost 90,000 HP on a critical point that can protect you. But honestly, how often is somebody just pinging one critical point on a ship this size? It depends. If you have a very experienced pilot attacking you, it could be quite often, but a lot of times in a ship like this, a light fighter in the current game is going to sit at 3 kilometers away, and you don't have to worry about them hitting it that accurately. They're just going to be hitting you all over the place, but in the future, that's going to change. Now, this ship does have a top SCM speed of 150 with a 350 forward boost, a 160 backwards boost, and a top nav speed of 1050. Surprisingly, the nav speed is actually pretty decent. Its forward SCM speed is okay. 150 doesn't actually feel too terrible given the size of the ship, and by no means is it small. It is a little bit smaller than a Carrack and a Hammerhead, but she is still beefy. She feels big when you're inside of the ship, and that's fantastic. It does have a pitch yaw roll of 15, 13, 25, boosted 23, 20, 50. And I'm going to tell you, even without boosting, this thing feels maneuverable. Is it like light fighter, medium fighter, heavy fighter maneuverable? No, but she definitely turns really well compared to a lot of other ships in this kind of size range. Now, you do have 50 flares and 20 decoys, so surprisingly not that many for this type of ship that would technically be patrolling with something like an Idris or a Polaris. I'm actually kind of surprised by that. I was thinking it would probably be about triple to quadruple that amount. And then you do have 400 SCU of hydrogen fuel and 7 SCU of quantum fuel. Now, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the interior of this ship, and I have to say the quantum fuel amount is perfect. 7 SCU, that's great. It's going to get you all over the place. Now, before we get actually into the interior, I want to tell you the 2 access points that you're going to be accessing from the ground. Now, there are multiple other access points on this ship, but first we'll start here. You do have the first one here at the bottom. If you go ahead and take a look right here, this is it. So you'd call it via either the panel here or on the other side, and it would bring it down, allowing you to go to the first floor. And then over here, you do have the cargo access point. So to bring that down, you just find this panel here and go ahead and bring it down. Now, I do want to show you something about this cargo bay here, that it does have a fuel port attached to it right in front of you, as you can see, and it even opens up when you get it to the ground. So this is how and where you're going to manually refill this ship if you're doing it from the ground. Now, this cargo pad here can fit a numerous amount of vehicles, including a Nursa, Cyclones, all the smaller vehicles, definitely the ROCs. And take a look at this. I even got my Razor EX perfectly on here with plenty of room around it. Now, you can't just land it directly on the pad. I had to kind of nudge it in there by, bringing it in and then facing the nose up and then kind of pushing forward a little bit. But you can actually fit multiple other ships that are just a little too big for this if you were to kind of maneuver around a little bit with the space above you. Now, that's a pretty cool area, and this cargo bay actually holds 96 SCU of cargo now instead of the prior amount, which is awesome. 96. It's like Constellation Who. Now, I'm going to go ahead and bring this one up here, and we will go up the normal area that, as a commander or something, you would be going on up into your ship with. We'll take this all the way up here, and then it opens up, leaving no chance for you to be sucked out of EVA or anything. And then you get here into the loading bay, where I just brought this huge old thing down. And let me show you how to bring this down from inside here. It would be this one here or on the other side. And look at that. Look at the cool effects. It looks fantastic. And during the time portion, I will show you how this sounds. Not the time portion, the sound portion. I'm going to show you how this ship sounds. It sounds amazing. I'm going to show you all the tidbit sounds. The sound team has been doing a phenomenal job. Super impressed with that. And this room is right on point with that. Taking a look, you got so much going on. You got a second layer up here. You have your cargo bay right here. You got doors behind you, doors beside you, ladders everywhere. It's just so many things. You got to be like, well, what do we do? First, we'll take a look at the torpedo loading loading area. Now this is here and on over there, the 2 red lights on the ground, or well, technically 4. Now if you were to walk up to each one of these, fire extinguisher, you go ahead and hit the open button, and when you do, you're going to see all the torpedoes that you'd be able to shoot. Now normally these racks here and here are empty because they are technically your backup racks. When you fire the first 10 on this side, you'd go ahead and load the next 10. But as you can see, I did load them up because this is my new home, the beautiful Perseus. And here is where it would fire. When it fires, they rotate down and under and in, and they shoot off. And then you'd go ahead and take one off and load it in. Surprisingly, you do have to have the ship ports unlocked to load and unload these off this rack to load it into the next ones. I was thinking it would be a little bit easier if you didn't, but you do. So you just have to remind your pilot, hey, I need those ports unlocked or I'm not going to be loading anything, and good luck to you. Now, that's the same on the other side, pretty much mirrored like by like here. We'll take a look just to show you. As you can see, more right here, 10 and 10, and it looks very beautiful. So technically 20 torpedoes turns into 40, and that's fantastic. Now on each side, you do have a docking door here, what's called a docking door, and it's on both sides of the ship. And surprisingly, I docked to a station with this earlier with no problem. I just requested docking. It said, go ahead, dock onto the station, and you're good to go. Once it opens up, you have a very nice docking collar. It actually extends quite a way. But first, let's go ahead and turn around and take a look at this door right here. That'll take us to the rest of the lower deck. Now, the first thing you'll see is to the left, it says ladder, because this ladder goes all the way up to all 3 decks of the ship. Just in case there is an emergency and you lose power and you don't have elevator access, you do have this ladder area here that if you were to go ahead and open, it goes all the way up, which is fantastic. And then we'll take a quick look at the lighting in this hallway in the emergency state. Looks pretty good. A nice little flash here. We'll go ahead and turn that off and make it a nice dim lighting. Very nice, very demure. And we'll go ahead and turn that off and bring it back to normal. Now behind us, we do have multiple component access areas. You can go and open that up, but nothing in a lot of these just yet because some of these components aren't ready for the light. But it should be coming soon with, of course, engineering. Hopefully we'll see a lot of these areas start being filled up and not just big old holes that you stuff bodies in. Now, when you make your way further back, this is your lower turret, which surprisingly extends down a little bit. And I'll show you, I'm going to get into this turret, even though I'm landed. Got to be a little careful here. I don't want to make the Perseus go flying, right? But it does extend down. It might even kick into the ground right now. Let's see what happens. Nope. And you can shoot directly forward when the landing gear is up. So you're thinking at first, oh man, you're not gonna be able to shoot forward. You're gonna have a little bit of a down angle. Nope, you can shoot forward. So all forward facing guns can shoot the target right in front, which is fantastic. And it's such a great turret, which again, I will show you the noises that are available on this ship, even the turret here in a moment. And then we're going to move into the second floor, which, by the way, I will have to say, let's take a look at the lighting here really quick, just to make sure we see how this looks. Beautiful little flash here, looks really good. Everything looks really nice back here, a lot of good detail. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring it to a closed state. Hold on, let me go here. And that's the dim state, which looks pretty decent. We didn't do this in the cargo hold, so we'll do that really quick and see how that looks. Right, so if we were to do that in here, I believe it would probably be here. Let's go ahead and do that here. Okay, so not as like emergency as you would think it would look, but it is there. You can see some of the red flash and everything. And then if we go into this state here, it's definitely a lot dimmer, a little bit more like, you know, it's the middle of the night. You're going hours on a very big run and you just want the lights dim. But let's go to that elevator. And I have to say it is a billion times faster than the Polaris's. So we'll go to the main deck next. As you can see, I just hit that. I'm already here, done. Oh, that's amazing. If the Polaris could have this technology, that would just be fantastic. Now, typically I'm going to go that way, but first let's head over here, which is towards the back of the ship. And you're thinking, oh, it's just engineering. Why would I go back here? Fire extinguisher. But if you go back here, you do have crew quarters to your left and mess hall to your right. First, we'll take a quick look at engineering. We're going to have the majority of your components back here. And of course, fuses, all sorts of different things, and relay. Well, this is just a big component. It just looks like fuses. It looks like it, but here's the fuses there. And then of course, you just got more components all over the place and an engineer terminal, which is pretty good. So allowing the engineer chief to be back here taking care of things at all times is really nice, but they will have to run to other parts of the ship at times. And then if we take a right turn, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the crew quarters. So you walk in here, and you see you got 2 beds here, 2 there, 2 over there. You have a nice little area with some benches. Each one of these beds does get a storage locker, giving you access to 1200 micro SUU. So 1200 there, and over here and here. So that's pretty awesome. And no, these are not escape pods, so don't expect that. Now, each one of these beds does have a nice little lighting system as well, and a little monitor there. As you can see, it's pretty nice. And if you go through this first door here, this is the restroom area on the ship for the crew quarters. So you walk in here and you have a nice little area. Of course, I'm headless because cameras don't like my face. It's protection, right? And then if you turn around, you can go ahead and open this up and see that you have a nice little toilet and area to take care of business. Oh, my toilet paper's gone. Who stole my toilet paper? That wasn't gone earlier. Oh, man. Anyways, if we move back here a little bit further, you do have a beautiful armory. So to the right, you have multiple gun racks fitting 6 rifles, a lot of areas for tractor beams, pistols, all sorts of things. And behind you, even more. 6 more, 6 more, 6 more. It's crazy. And then, of course, you have your super weapon spot or your special weapon slot for rocket launchers and heavy weapons, 1 on each side. So there's the ability to have 2. And then you do have 6 suit lockers. Because this ship is meant to have 6 people on board, there is a lot of access there. And that's a crazy amount of weapons, by the way. I mean, if you think about it, that is just phenomenal. You have 12 weapon spots only just right here. That's fantastic. And then if you make your way outside, of course, the crew area, we're going to go into the mess hall, the kitchen, where you're going to go ahead and sit down and eat. First, you have a nice little cabinet area, store some of your stuff. You have a nice fridge area right here. We can go ahead and store your cold food items. A nice, beautiful area, and with little markings here telling you which way to go. Move your butt, move your butt. We don't got time, even though, I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? You got to get what you got to get when you're out here. And, of course, you have a nice seating area here for your crew to relax and chill. And you can even hang up posters, which I, of course, did in my ship, because why wouldn't you? You got to make the crew feel at home. And right now, a lot of the crew is outside of the ship just enjoying some time in the sun. And you have a nice table here and a pool table where I can hang up some more posters and just relax here while playing a nice game of pool. Has a little bit of, plant here. It just looks nice. More bench areas to sit down and relax while you're playing the game of pool and enjoying that. But now we're going to make our way to the other side, and I got to show you something pretty awesome. So make our way down here, head towards the cargo hold. By the way, 2 ejection pods that, again, don't work yet. I really wish we had the escape pods available, especially with engineering coming. It would just be so amazing. Now, when you make your way in here, this is like a gantry-way, a catwalk for your cargo room to take a look at the 96 that would stack all the way up, right? But it's not just that. You have a ladder here, and you have a ladder on the other side giving you access. And then if you walk over here and hit open, it opens up a basketball hoop with a nice hollow projection of where to stand and shoot. Now, I did bring a Wikello Favor with me, or no, not a Wikello Favor, a Valakar Pearl, but I can't throw that. For some reason, that thing weighs 15 tons, and I can't seem to throw it more than 3 feet. So that was a no-go, and I was like, ah, bummer. So then, no basketball for me right now. Now, if we continue to make our way and we open some of these doors, you can see there's more and more components. They're all over the place. And we make our way to the torpedo bay. This is where you're going to have 2 more escape pods, 1 here and 1 over here. And to the left, you have an engineering terminal, which can take care of some engineering systems, which personally, the more the better. I wish these things were in the pilot bridge area on these ships. I really do, because having door control at the bridge would just be so awesome. So hopefully they can fit door control into an MFD on the bridge sooner or later. And then over here, you do have your torpedo console. So go ahead and head over here, go ahead and clap my hands, and we're going to power this thing on. You can see as it rotated there. And we're going to go ahead and enter the remote turret. And that camera is actually right on the front of the top turret on the ship, which is pretty neat. And it can look around and lock anywhere around the ship that it can see. So that is pretty cool. And we'll go ahead and get off that turret. And we'll make our way to the upper turret control area, fire extinguisher, which is currently right here. And, well, currently, it's not like it's going to move anywhere, but this is where you'd go ahead and get into that top turret. So we'll do that real quick. We'll hop into this and we'll take a look at this beautiful turret position. I think this feels like a battleship. It sounds like a battleship. It is just super cool. I think it's probably one of the coolest guns in the game, especially since it's something you see in Squadron 42, right? You have access to these huge guns, and then you also have access to those, Mantis GT220s, in which you can switch between. and fire them one at a time, or you can even, set it up in the MFD to where they all shoot at the same time. So go ahead and just pop this over here, and there you go. Now you're shooting them all, and boom, 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 right? But another fun thing is if you go to your gunnery here and you go staggered fire, which is just stupidly cool, right? You do that, and you go ahead and take this off here really quick because I don't want to, I want to just show off these guns, but then you go boom, 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 boom. That is just super epic. And when you have both of them doing it, it's just phenomenal. So what an awesome gun. And we'll show off some sounds of that, of course, here in just a moment during the sound test. So let's go ahead and head back down this turret, and we'll make our way to the elevator and the third and final floor. Surprise, surprise. This ship has 3 floors. If you have no idea about the ship, you'd look at it from the outside and go, no way that thing has 3 floors. Yeah, it does. And it's pretty epic. So we're going to make our way all the way around, more components like I showed you before, fire extinguisher. And then we make our way over here, and we go all the way up to the 3rd floor. Now, I don't need to use the emergency ladder, so we'll go ahead and go here and go to the upper deck and let it take us to the next sweet spot, the captain's quarter. And yes, I set all this up when I was back at Orison and not here, so anything you see on the walls, on the ground, it is set up from back there. Nothing fell. Look at these beautiful windows everywhere. It looks great. I love it. More windows. Keep it up, CIG. More windows. You got 4 more escape pods, 2 here, 2 over here, and right behind me, the captain's quarters, which, as you can see, I went ahead and decorated just a little bit for the show, right? And it's just phenomenal. You have a nice seat, a little window with like double protection here. Like if something takes out this front window at the very front, you're not going to be dead or anything because you have so many layers and thick armor and protection keeping you alive, which is really nice. Now, the first thing I want to take a look at here, you do have a suit locker, of course, for the captain. Why wouldn't they, right? And then you have right here a nice toilet and, bathroom for the captain. So go here, use the business, do the business, and take a shower, take care of yourself, and you're good to go. You have a nice bed here, very nice, a storage locker right above with another 1200 micro SCU, which is just beautiful. Another screen and access area there. You have a weapons locker up here with 2 SMG areas, 2 handgun, and 2 more utility slots, which is really awesome. Now, something you're going to notice about this area right here is I'm going to play a little video just to show you that this little screen here actually is operational. It is quite beautiful. You can close and open the door and lock it from right here. Let's take a look. I love my Perseus and my Vandal skull. An intruder on my ship? Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the rest of the ship. We're going to go to the bridge next, which is really the last spot. I got to tell you, I really have to tell you, we're going to take a look at the sound test, and then we're going to do a combat test where we're going to fight a lot of ships that this thing is supposed to fight. Whoa, I have to stop. There's something right here. Oh, is it a ladder? Is it an elevator? No, it's another entrance to this ship. Yeah, you have an EVA entrance if you need to get on and off this ship quickly. Here's where you're going to do it right before this bridge door. You'd walk right on up. Open that door, open this door, and when you're not in space, you have a beautiful area to go ahead and stretch my arms out, take a look, walk along this nice guardrailed area, maybe look around my ship, make sure everything's still there and not broken. What a fantastic design here having this. This is just gorgeous. And being able to access the cockpit from EVA right here, easy peasy, love it. And that's just phenomenal. And like I said, if you walk around to the other side, which you can easily do using that door, not a problem. You can see, we're going to walk all the way around. There's even another guardrail area here that you can just kind of walk around, and just, you can have some guards here, or you can have your staff, 3 on each side standing here at attention as you pull into port, right? And that's just really cool. So I think it's just such a cool and neat feature. And of course you got your escape pods everywhere. Sorry, my cape keeps getting everywhere. So there are escape pods everywhere. Usually if you see an escape pod on a ship, you're going to see those hatches somewhere underneath, on top, around. A lot of the times the beds are escape pods, especially on MISC ships. So look out for that. Now I'm going to go ahead and shut all this here to make sure nobody boards. Beautiful looking hidden away door, even if the button's right here, right? And then we make our way to the cockpit, which you're like, okay, I just boarded a Zeus XL, which you pretty much did, right? I mean, you don't get to see your torpedoes from here, but this is pretty much what that looks like. You have a couple monitors up top with no, information that we can use yet. And then to your left, you do have another weapons locker. You go ahead and open that up, and you have access to 3 SMG spots, because you can't fit the rifle here. They're for SMGs only. Pilots typically have the SMGs. You have 3 handgun slots, and of course, just another amount of weapons, which is fantastic. And then over here, your relays, of course, and fire extinguisher. So many of those, so many. Now, these seats here independently control the smaller These seats here independently control the smaller GT220s on the top and the bottom of the ship via these seats, because they are remote turrets technically. So you get in here, you get in over there, and you can control them. Now the top one, like I said, is slave to the pilot when I'm in the pilot seat if nobody's in the seat itself, but the bottom one isn't. So you have to have that seat occupied if you want it, you know, firing. Now I'm going to get into the pilot seat to show you. This thing just go ahead and picks up and moves around. It's quite phenomenal. Takes a moment, not too bad. And then here you are. You're in the pilot seat, which looks fantastic. You have visible room all around, and if I turn off head tracking really quick, I can actually even look even further. I don't really feel like bending my neck that far right now, but yeah, it's a really good view, really fantastic. You have good looking MFDs, good looking power management. Is it like perfect? No, but you can upgrade your ship absolutely with this type of system. And then if you look down, of course, you have all your buttons: open exterior, exit, you got engine on, power off. It's nothing too crazy here, but it does look gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. It's a fantastic looking ship. So next I'm going to show you the test of sound, and then we'll take a look at some combat. Let's go ahead and take a look. Now I gotta say, this thing hits hard. It is an amazing ship, and in that fight against the Polaris, we surprisingly did a lot of damage. That fight lasted a lot longer than we thought it would before we were ultimately destroyed. One-on-one against a crewed Polaris, you're still gonna lose, which is good. You should. You shouldn't win against a fully crewed Polaris, but we still did a good amount of damage. If you had 2 crewed Perseuses against that Polaris solo, there would be a different outcome because it wouldn't be able to focus on both and output that much damage onto, you know, both of them at the same time. But it's still in the perfect spot. It is a great ship for that mid-tier destruction, going after something like an enemy constellation, paladin, hammerhead, things like that. You just have to be very wary as the pilot of your bottom gun's firing arc, so you got to kind of keep your ship. You could technically go head on, but you have to have your nose tilted up a little bit, which can be kind of difficult because then you as the pilot are not seeing it as much. But I recommend just going to a slight broadside, allowing both guns to train on them, and then keeping your angle just to where you're not limiting the top gun, of course. It is such a fantastic ship. Honestly, given everything, there's a couple bugs right now, like quantum travel, sound bugs that are occurring, and it's crashing the game, and sometimes it even happens just right in the middle of a fight. That's why you didn't have any audio in the first 2 battles, is because the audio was so bad. It was really disturbing. But outside of that, I think there might be a little bit of a laggy issue on the interior, but it's easily corrected hopefully in the next few patches. Overall, this ship for me is a 98 out of 100. It is quite an amazing vessel. It can do so much for you out there as a heavy gunship with the capability of carrying cargo. It's not massive. It's just got everything you would need except for a medical room, right? Let me know what you think of the RSI Perseus. I hear a lot of people out there going, this is my new favorite ship, and I agree. This is my home out there. And thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and of course, I'll see you all in the next one. If you're building a new PC, go through longshipindustries.com, a veteran-owned mom-and-pop business that takes pride in every single build. He built my personal rig, which you can actually see featured on the website. The care, warranty, and customer support are top tier. Trust Longship Industries for your next build.